Welcome back everyone to our 4th Chaos Cup Grand Finals video. It has been a bit since the last one, but we did make it finally. Bear with me as well as I am a little sick. This month's showcase is yours truly representing Buster Blader against Franklin, who is getting ready for the Lunalights support in the far future. Once again, I did lose in round 1 similar to my last tournament win, but somehow I managed to finally start drawing some good hands. I won't talk about my deck as much as expected, only because I already have a whole video of it on the channel. To keep it short, there are a few changes from the list used in the video, mainly since we got the Necroquip Princess finally. Unfortunately, the new Fiendsmith support came out during finals, so I couldn't change the list mid-tournament. The only real change is I sacrificed Droplets for Duster and Bestial Baldrake. A second copy of Druid Worm also snuck in, but that was a mistake, but again I couldn't change it much. I'll link the video for a more in-depth overview of the deck, but now with the new Lacrima card we can replace that Druid Worm properly. Another much needed change I plan to make is adding Triple Tactics Thrust, since if Whelp is negated I have a free search still to our starter trap or the Fiendsmith spell to ensure plays. For the most of the tournament I did open some pretty good hands, and it is hard to stop the Buster lock outside of Dark Ruler, Droplets, or Raw Imperm. Full Metal with the Omni Negate also helps in protecting them if you get the Nuts hand. You can't Ash the trap since it sends for cost, and maxing a Fuwalos on your turn isn't the worst thing, as long as you get a dragon in the grave. Now before anyone loses their mind by saying the Fiendsmith engine carried me, it really didn't make an impact until Grand Finals, which you will see. Most of the time it was Full Metal and Buster Blader doing the work, but the Fiendsmith engine is essential if you don't get your other pieces. To look at Franklin's surprising deck, he is for the most part playing a rather pure version of Lunalights. I'm 100% confident he was excited for the support, just recently announced, but he did stay in winner's bracket the whole tournament by beating Fire Kings, Blue Eyes, and Agents, which is pretty impressive. It is heavily focused on going second, which I did learn upon each time we hit a new duel, and I am guessing he dismantled some ports pretty nicely during his matches. Arc Rebellion and his fusions were probably the OTK machines, and I was reminded of how annoying Tiger can be with all its revives. I've only experienced Lunalights back when Tri-Brigade or Raid Raptor engines were a thing, so I wasn't sure what to expect after so long out the game. Instead of showcasing all the replays, I only had space for 2, but part of me felt like keeping it short and showcasing the more impactful stuff would be more beneficial. To provide context, the replays not shown were me opening my combo and locking Frank's combos away, with him unable to get droplets unfortunately. The first replay here is probably one of the worst hands I've ever seen in a while, since I drew 2 Garnets, plus 2 Tactics with no way to trigger them. At this point I think I was up 1-0 in the match, and I was perfectly comfortable with accepting defeat right away. The Bestial doesn't provide much as expected, but trying to disrupt him and getting a body on board seems like the best defense to do. It does seem like Franklin is set to pop off a Kaleido chick, Tiger, and Martin I believe is the name. While this hand is doomed regardless, the Bestials did work well for me throughout the tournament against opponents, as every opponent except for 2 were running some form of light and dark monsters. I faced Blue Eyes twice, then Dragon Maid Horus followed by Agent Horus, so I think I made a good decision as far as choosing my deck. I did joke around that the true intention of Buster Blader was to stop Blue Eyes, but in all truth it's actually not an ideal matchup since Blue Eyes has Majesty and such a powerful board if they go first in general. As I mentioned before, I did lose to Ryan in round 1 with some horrendous bricks, but I was able to redeem myself later on against him since Yusei guided me to a great situation while he kept bricking. Not sure how Franklin didn't get lethal there, but I waited on scooping until seeing my next draw, since something like a Black Metal Dragon or Fiendsmith card could have been cool. Sadly, his set Called by the Grave would have sealed the deal anyway, and my luck runs out with this amazing hand trap draw, so we are going to move on. This next replay is the final duel of the match with me up 2-1. I believe I won the duel prior, and Franklin was determined to go second since he has the droplets and other cards to help him. The hand I have isn't the most ideal, but it is one of the few times I relied heavily on the Fiendsmith package. Now there isn't much I can do, but the prologue trap is actually essential if I can get the Bestial in the grave. The unfortunate part is that I end up torn on this turn since he can provide some disruption, as opposed to banishing my own monsters. This dilemma ends up costing me, as you'll see, but I decide to go for Wave King Caesar regardless to try and stop his multiple summoning effects. He does draw Tactics, which is unfortunate since it's an easy steal regardless of what happens. Called by the Grave is also the easiest way to stop my prologue combo since it needs to banish the monsters from my grave as materials. Aside from that, he has plenty in the hand to maintain a combo, and before anyone asks why I didn't set Dharma Cannon, it's because he hit me with Duster or Duel earlier and I didn't want to suffer again. In hindsight, Daruma would have been amazing if I did set it, but in my mind I figured Prologue would resolve successfully. Since he wanted to go second, I also expected to see Lightning Storm, which is why I placed Caesar in defense mode, despite his pitiful defense stats. Buster Dragon having a good 2800 defense stat ends up saving me, despite the lack of the Sword Master, but now it becomes clear why Daruma would have saved me. It also helps that my Dragon locked him out of making Tiger King, but in all honesty he couldn't really kill it easily without going into Rebellion like you will see shortly. At this point I'm already trying to think about what could save me, and thankfully the Fiendsmith engine keeps me alive since Engraver can create a loop with Requiem technically. Daruma is going to save my life no matter what at some point, and for the first time in a while, Zeus isn't even a concern with Engraver surprisingly. I didn't quite realize how effective the engine would be until my turn comes around now, since now I know he can't commit to Zeus at risk of hurting himself more than me. Had I no other option but to set Daruma, I would have definitely lost, especially with that horrendous top deck. I tried to keep some faith however, since any one of my 1-card starters could get us out of this, and I know he is in top deck mode as well. I'm going to fast forward a little through the fluff here, but sadly the first good card goes to Franklin eventually, since he can now get his fusion monsters out. Daruma can stall, but I do start to get nervous about when my wishes will come true. I found it extremely valuable to flip Leo Dancer face down since it can't be targeted, and outside of Buster Blader, outing that thing would have been a problem. Franklin still manages to find a way to keep the pressure on though, forcing me to eventually hope for a good card on draw since my time was running out. The second Daruma buys me another turn at survival since he doesn't have a clear way to out it early, but my dreams come true shortly on the next turn as I finally draw what I need. Duster provides the icing on the cake as now I am confident I can clear his board without much issue thanks to a full power Buster Blader combo. To make things more exciting, I finally put the Fiendsmith stuff to work to summon Desiree, which seals the deal as it can negate whatever card Frank tries to throw down. At this point I was confident the duel was in the bag as I'm pretty sure I checked his grave for any instance of a comeback. The match ends 3-1 in my favor and I can't redeem myself for all those pitiful losses in the last few tournaments trying to make ninjas work. I am plenty surprised that Buster Blader managed to work out since my prime concern was bricking as I have in the past. Prologue without a Dragon Engrave doesn't work and Ash Blossom does still put a damper on Whelp, Black Metal Dragon and the Fiendsmith combo potentially, so unless I have follow-ups things do become quite difficult. You can't really run 40 cards either due to the need to minimize your chances of drawing bricks like Buster Blader or the other 2 traps that need to be in the grave. Anyway, that's going to close it out for now. I promise to use something new next time, but do try to stay tuned for potential streams on Twitch after I beat Expedition 33. Until Elden Ring comes out. Peace.